Marcus Didius Julianus, the 20th emperor of the Roman Empire, ruled for a very brief period in 193 AD during a tumultuous phase in Roman history. His reign, which lasted only about 9 weeks, is often remembered as a symbol of the chaotic year of the 5 emperors. His rise to power, characterized by bribery and political maneuvering, marked the end of the Nerva-Antonine dynasty, a period of relative stability for the empire. Didius Julianus was born in about 133 AD into a wealthy and influential family of equestrian rank, which was the second tier of Roman society. Little is known about his early life, but he seems to have received a good education and started his career in the Roman Senate, the political heart of the empire. Over time, he held various important administrative roles, such as the praetorship, and eventually became a consul, one of the highest political positions in Rome. Julianus's political career was marked by his loyalty to the reigning emperor and his competence in managing the empire's affairs. As a senator and public official, he built a reputation for being a shrewd politician. However, he was also known for his opportunistic nature, which would later play a crucial role in his brief ascent to imperial power. The story of Julianus's rise to the throne begins in the year 193 AD, a year that would see the empire embroiled in chaos following the assassination of Emperor Pertinax. Pertinax, who had attempted to restore order and reform the empire after the death of Commodus, was killed by the Praetorian Guard, the elite soldiers responsible for protecting the emperor. This act left the throne vacant and set off a power struggle between several claimants. The Praetorian Guard, angered by Pertinax's reforms and his failure to pay them sufficiently, took matters into their own hands and sought to auction the empire to the highest bidder. Julianus, who was in Rome at the time, saw an opportunity to secure power. At an auction held by the Guard, he offered them a sum of 25,000 sesterces per soldier, far surpassing any other offers from rival claimants. This extravagant bribe secured his election as emperor, but his rise was anything but popular. The people of Rome, who had hoped for a more legitimate successor, were outraged by this blatant display of corruption and disregard for the traditional methods of succession. Upon being declared emperor by the Praetorian Guard, Julianus immediately assumed control of the imperial apparatus. However, his legitimacy was immediately questioned. The Senate, as well as many in Rome and throughout the empire, did not view his rule as legitimate, considering his rise to power to be the result of bribery rather than merit. This perception undermined his authority from the very beginning. Moreover, Julianus's reign was marked by civil unrest. Across the empire, military commanders and provincial governors began to rally against him. The most notable of these was Septimius Severus, a successful general in the eastern provinces. Severus, who was stationed in the province of Pannonia, had been one of the commanders who had been considered as a potential successor after the death of Pertinax. Severus raised his army against Julianus, and with the support of his troops he advanced on Rome. Despite efforts to consolidate power, Julianus was unable to quell the mounting opposition. His military and political position weakened rapidly as Severus's forces drew closer to the capital. The Senate, sensing the inevitable, declared Severus emperor in an attempt to align itself with the growing power of the general. Julianus, realizing that his situation was untenable, attempted to negotiate with Severus, but it was too late. On June 1st, 193 AD, as Severus's forces entered Rome, Julianus's brief reign came to a violent and abrupt end. The Praetorian Guard, once his strongest supporters, abandoned him as they realized that Severus's forces would soon take control. Julianus was captured and put to death, ending his short-lived reign after only 9 weeks. Julianus's death was a consequence of the power dynamics within the Roman Empire at the time. His reign, though marked by corruption and intrigue, was also a reflection of the fragility of imperial power and the volatility of the military's role in Roman politics. The fact that a man could rise to the throne by simply offering the highest bid to the Praetorian Guard and then be overthrown by a more popular and powerful general in such a short time highlights the dangerous nature of Roman imperial politics during the period. The legacy of Disius Julianus is largely negative. His brief reign symbolizes the dangers of military dominance in Roman politics and the corruption that could arise when the throne was up for grabs. His rise to power via bribery undermined the Roman political system and set a precedent for the role of the Praetorian Guard in imperial succession, an issue that would continue to trouble the empire for centuries. Though Julianus's reign was short and largely ineffective, it was part of a larger trend of political instability that marked the late 2nd and early 3rd centuries AD. The year of the 5 emperors, of which Julianus was a part, was one of the most chaotic periods in Roman history. The rapid succession of rulers during this time exemplified the fragility of imperial authority and the military's critical role in determining the outcome of political struggles. In the years following Julianus's death, the empire would enter a period of relative stability under the rule of Septimius Severus, but the precedent of military interference in the selection of emperors would continue to destabilize the empire for centuries. The Praetorian Guard, once an elite force tasked with protecting the emperor, would come to be seen as a key player in the imperial succession, and their influence would be felt for many years. In sum, Disius Julianus remains a largely forgotten and often ridiculed figure in Roman history. His brief and ill-fated reign serves as a stark reminder of the political corruption and instability that plagued the Roman Empire during its later years. While his name may not be as well known as those of other emperors, his rise to power and fall from grace reflect the deeper challenges faced by Rome during one of its most turbulent periods.